Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that everyone in your town is suddenly becoming rich. Not one person, not a few lucky investors. Everyone. The mechanic, the waitress, the school teacher, the guy who cuts your lawn. Overnight, millions of dollars begin pouring into a place that was almost forgotten by the rest of the country. New trucks appear in every driveway. Luxury homes rise from empty fields. People quit their jobs. Banks start opening new branches, and for a brief moment, it feels like paradise. But then something unexpected happens, because it turns out becoming rich is one thing, staying rich is something entirely different. This is the story of a town that accidentally became wealthy and how that wealth slowly disappeared. For most of its history, the town looked like hundreds of others across America. Quiet streets, small businesses, a few family farms, a local diner where everybody knew everybody. Nothing about the town suggested that it was sitting on one of the most valuable resources on earth. People worked hard, money was tight. Young people often left for bigger cities. The town wasn't dying, but it wasn't growing either. It existed in a kind of economic sleep. Then one day, everything changed. Geologists arrived, survey trucks began appearing, landowners started receiving strange offers from energy companies. At first, nobody paid much attention, but beneath the soil was something that would completely rewrite the future of the town: oil. And a lot of it, more than anyone had imagined. What happened next felt like a modern version of the California gold rush. Energy companies rushed into the area. Land that had been worth a few $1,000s suddenly became worth millions. Farmers who had spent decades struggling suddenly received royalty checks larger than their annual income. Some families became millionaires almost overnight. The local economy exploded. Restaurants filled up. Hotels were booked months in advance. Construction crews worked around the clock. Jobs were everywhere. For the first time in generations, young people stopped leaving. They came back. Everyone wanted a piece of the boom, and for a while, it seemed impossible to lose. The money kept coming, month after month, year after year. The town had discovered a machine that printed wealth, or so it seemed. Human beings are surprisingly bad at handling sudden wealth. Psychologists have studied lottery winners for decades. Many of them end up broke, not because they aren't smart, but because the human brain struggles to distinguish between temporary wealth and permanent wealth. When people receive money quickly, they often assume it will continue forever. The town fell into the same trap. Expensive trucks became normal. Luxury vacations became normal. Massive homes became normal. Spending increased far faster than financial knowledge. And why wouldn't it? The checks kept arriving. Each month reinforced the same belief: we've made it. But wealth creates a dangerous illusion. It convinces people that today's income will look exactly like tomorrow's. History says otherwise. Every boom contains the seeds of its own ending. Oil prices rise, then they fall. Production increases, then it declines. Markets change, technology changes, demand changes. But when things are going well, nobody wants to think about the future. The town became dependent on a single source of prosperity: one industry, one resource, one stream of money. The local economy stopped diversifying. Businesses expanded based on boom time spending. Families borrowed money assuming the good times would last forever. Entire lifestyles were built on assumptions, and assumptions are dangerous when they're attached to debt. Then the market shifted, and reality arrived. The change didn't happen in a single day. It happened slowly. At first, royalty checks got smaller, then drilling activity slowed, then companies left. Workers moved away. Restaurants that had been packed every night suddenly had empty tables. Hotels sat half full. Businesses that expanded too aggressively began struggling. Some families had saved and invested. They survived. Others had spent nearly everything. They discovered a painful truth: income is not wealth. Cash flow is not wealth. A high-paying year is not wealth. True wealth is what remains after the money stops arriving, and for many people there wasn't much left. The same town that had once felt unstoppable now faced a question that every boomtown eventually faces: what happens after the boom? The story of this town isn't really about oil. It's about human nature. Because this pattern repeats itself everywhere. Lottery winners, professional athletes, celebrities, crypto millionaires, people who inherit fortunes, entire countries built on natural resources. The challenge is never getting rich. Humans have invented countless ways to do that. The real challenge is transforming temporary wealth into permanent wealth. The families who survived the boom weren't necessarily the ones who earned the most money. They were the ones who understood something deeper. Money is a tool, not a lifestyle, not an identity, not a guarantee. The oil eventually became less valuable. The boom eventually faded. But the people who invested in businesses, education, skills, and assets continued building wealth long after the excitement ended. And that's the lesson hidden inside this town story. Getting rich can happen by accident. Staying rich almost never does. Because wealth isn't created the day the money arrives. It's created by what you choose to do after it does. And that difference changes everything.